What's included in a home inspection? A typical inspection for a home is around 2 to 3 hours. Be skeptical if it's shorter than that, because the inspector may be taking shortcuts or excluding certain parts of the home. The inspection is performed on installed systems that come with the home, where these must be accessible, operatable, and visible. The inspector checks the home as it is, so ensure the home is ready before the inspection date. A written report should be provided to the client. However, a verbal report may be sufficient if that's what the client and inspector agreed on. The report should highlight the following. The first is an evaluation of the components, noting what's working and not, safe or unsafe, or if something is at the end of its service life. It should include the corrective actions, either monitor, further evaluate, or replace as necessary. With the actions noted, there must be a reason to why it was suggested. If certain components were not checked, explanations are needed. For example, a drainage in a basement may be blocked by a carpet or furniture, or the basement lights aren't working. There must be a reason. Perhaps the circuit is broken, or animals may have infested the area as it has not been accessible in years. Therefore, it may be unsafe and the inspector can refuse and skip this. Whatever the reason may be, if things are not operatable or available for inspection, it will be noted in the report. A standard inspection will look at air conditioning, heating, home insulation, interior layout, electrical systems, exterior components, the plumbing system, the roofing, and overall structure, which I will explain a bit more later. I would also like to mention that this standard is not absolute. Some parts can vary depending on the regulations or the location of the home. I'll start with air conditioning. So this will look into the main cooling system, how cool air is distributed throughout the home, and identifying the energy source that allows all this to happen. What is excluded are electrical plug-in devices, such as a portable cooling fan, or even those old AC machines that you may have seen sticking out of windows. Those will not be inspected. For the heating component, inspectors will open the accessible panels to understand the heating system. They will look at the vents, chimneys, the heating equipment or source, and see how heat flows throughout the home. The inspection will also include the fireplace, looking into the stove, fireplace inserts, and fuel burning accessories installed to it. However, there are exclusions. If the vents and chimneys are not accessible, they will not be inspected. In-depth look of heat exchangers will also be exempt and should be provided by the company that it was purchased from. Other things excluded are fire screens, doors, gaskets, mantles, and fireplace surroundings. Inspectors are not required to move fireplace contents. Remember, they evaluate the home as it is. Inspectors will look at insulation and vapor retarder, also known as vapor barrier, which is any material that helps prevent water vapor from diffusing through a wall, floor, or ceiling. It's often some sort of plastic or foil. Any empty spot or area where the vapor retarder is missing, it will be noted in the report. The inspector will also check the exhaust systems in the kitchen, bathroom, and laundry area. Inspectors should not touch or do anything to the insulation. The interior components that will be inspected include walls, ceilings, floors, steps and stairs along with railings, some cabinets, doors, and windows. Garage, installed ovens, meaning not your detachable toaster oven, and dishwashing machine if that's installed. What is not inspected are wall paintings or finishings, floor coverings, maybe you put a carpet or you did something yourself. Central vacuum systems, door seals, timers and clocks, special features for an appliance such as knowing the self-cleaning system for the oven or calibrating the thermostat. It is impossible to test every feature of an appliance. That will take forever, and usually a manual will have all this information. Remember, the inspector is there to get through the entire home to provide the client a clear picture. It would be unwise to disrupt the inspection routine and channel all that energy and time on the small things. For the electrical stuff, the inspection will look at the service drop, conductors, cables and their locations, service equipment and disconnects, service grounding, a number of installed light fixtures and switches. various circuit interrupters, determining of the amperage rating, and reporting the presence or absence of smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. That being said, inspectors are not required to inspect remote control devices, testing of smoke alarms, security systems, low voltage wiring systems, or anything beyond the primary electrical system. Nor is measuring amperage, voltage, impedance. Some inspectors can take on additional trades. Aside from being an inspector, they may also be an electrician or does insulation, perhaps flooring, the list goes on. For the exterior component, the inspection will look at wall coverings outside the home, flashings, which I'll talk about in my roofing videos, outside doors, for a house that would be the front door, side door, and backyard, decks and balconies, steps and stairs, railings, grading and surface drainage, patios, driveways, and garage. Excluded are screens, fences, looking at soil conditions, recreational activities and items like playground or trampoline, extra buildings that are not attached to the home, like a shed in the backyard. Plumbing is another big section. The inspection will look at identifying and understanding the water supply and distribution, often tied to a heating system, which we'll talk about later. The inspector will also find the location of valves, fixtures, faucets, drain and waste systems, vents, sewer pumps, and piping. What is not included would be checking the washing machine connections, wells and their related pumps, water conditioning, whether it's soft or hard water, sprinklers, identifying the sewage disposal system as private or public, looking into the water quality, measuring water flow and pressure, or fixing leaks. Moving on to roofing, which is generally the first part of the inspection. The inspector must report how they looked at it, whether by using a ladder, binoculars from street view, or the use of a drone. The inspector will note the materials, the drainage system, such as understanding how rainwater will be collected and distributed off the roof. Inspectors will also look at chimneys and roof penetrations, like ceiling windows. Excluded are installed accessories such as satellites or antennas. Lastly, it's important to look at the structure of the home, meaning crawl spaces, dirty attics, which inspectors may need to suit up, assessing the foundation, the floor structure, wall structure, ceiling, roof, pretty much everything that we just covered. As much as one hopes a home inspection will tell us everything, there are limitations that go beyond the scope of the standard. For example, inspectors do not perform actions like analysis, engineering, offering contracting work, or other skilled trades. They are there to gather information and provide that to the client to better understand the home. They are not required to provide recommendations. As a matter of fact, it's better that way. You never know what's on their agenda. They may be collecting commission from each referral they make, and the job may not be good. It's better to do your research. If something is concealed, inspectors may miss it, and that is acceptable. They are also not responsible for something that happens after the inspection is over. For example, suddenly there's a water leak 2 days later when nobody could have predicted that. Cosmetic opinions are also not provided, like asking if it's better to break a wall down or build a new fireplace. As mentioned earlier, inspectors cannot report conditions of components and systems when they are inaccessible. Because inspectors are not fortune tellers, they cannot provide accurate life expectancies for anything. Nobody can. Certain things may hold out longer than expected or shorter if unlucky. For example, certain roof materials may last up to 20 years, but maybe that will be shortened by 10 because of the harsh environment. Inspectors don't comment on adequacy or efficiency of systems. Is it too hot or too cold? Does this room have enough heat? These are all subjective. To know if the equipment is performing at its best, you would need to contact the company of where that unit came from. Finding out the causes of conditions or deficiencies is not the role of the inspector. They don't live there, and they may not even know the area. They are only there to observe and report the conditions, not the cause. Inspectors will not provide costs, materials, or ways of fixing something. This is subjective to what the homeowner wants, what is their budget, and also price changes over time. As mentioned before, the inspector may not be familiar with the area. Knowing the regulation codes is not their responsibility, nor is knowing its market value or the surroundings. This is the duty of the real estate agent and should have been brought up to their attention when looking for a home. If systems or components cannot be operated, they will be omitted from the inspection. Inspectors are not required to enter areas they feel are dangerous or will damage property. Spaces need to have a minimum vertical clearance of 24 inches, no smaller than 16 by 24 generally. However, not all inspectors can fit through those dimensions. Underground tanks, decorative items, and detached structures, or even common areas like lobbies or rooftops of condominiums will not be inspected. Inspectors are not required to move furniture, plants, animals, shovel snow, remove garbage, and so forth. Inspectors don't need to reset or program systems. They don't ignite fires, pilot lights, or burners that require manual ignition, such as heat exchangers. Inspectors will turn it on or off using the thermostat and look for flames. Anyways, we'll talk about that later. Lastly, anything to do with renewable energies will be omitted from the inspection. These can be solar, wind, ground, or water sources. There you have it, a general overview of what's inspected for a home. Stay tuned for more videos by subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.